Good morning. I want to show you the truth bomb I pulled today. It's You're on the Verge of a Miracle. And I pull these for the group as a whole. So, hi Sarah. If you're on the verge of a miracle, that means you are on the verge of understanding something differently. Hey! Course in Miracles says a miracle is just a change in perception. So if we're on the verge of one and we change our perception, then our life will change because we'll see it differently. Right? Am I right? Me too. We can change our understanding of and how we see things whenever we want. We might have to work a little at it, but we can do it. So I want to, I know I have new people hanging out here, so thank you for that. But since we talk a lot about oils here, I thought I would show you the oil in the water thing again. Spoon, not a Coke spoon. Hey, God, did you hear that? Those boys are rotten. A little bit of salt right in your spoon. This is before you put oil in the water. So if you use oil in your water, they're so naughty. It's the two ginger boys. They just, when they play, they're so loud. And they're kind of playing, but kind of not playing. That's just all the salt you need. A little bit of sea salt, a little bit of pink Himalayan salt or whatever. This is so your oil doesn't float on top of your water. Whoops. Using grapefruit today. Just two. Oh, I always try for one and I tend to get two. So see how the salt just absorbs it for you? Then you can put your lemon or your citrus fresh, or you can put stress away in water. I don't, but you can. Then it absorbs it for you so it's not all greasy. Then you just put it in your water. It's just that simple. That just keeps the oil, it makes the oil disperse in the water so it's not all gross when you're trying to drink it. Good morning. And I've already had my coffee, so I better switch to water. Yay. Grapefruit and water is awesome. So there you go. That's how you do it. I've got too much crap on my desk. Yay! Yeah! It's just a pinch of salt. I mean, you don't want more, you don't want to be like drinking a ton of salt water, obviously. But a pinch of salt, 1 or 2 drops of a nice oil, mix it in your water, and then it's not floating around on top being disgusting. So, today's Big Magic Day. What are you guys doing to be creative? I know what some of you are up to. I'm trying to approach finding this last tax form with an attitude of creativity. So far, I'm failing. I misplaced one of the, it's not a W-2 form, it's one of the thing for the health savings account. I'm like, how can I have a better attitude about this? I don't know yet. I'll drink my water and figure it out. But we are moving on to the section of persistence in this book. That's great, Tanya. Making bracelets is the funnest thing ever. It's so fun. It's so great to do with kids. Your house is like jam-packed with creative endeavors. So we're reading Big Magic by Elizabeth Gilbert. We've gone through enchantment. We've given ourselves permission to create. And now we have to apply persistence to it. So it's not like you master this stuff overnight. You have to apply it every day, preferably. Taking vows is our chapter today. So she says, when I was about 16 years old, I took vows to become a writer. I mean, I literally took vows, the way a young woman of an entirely different nature might take vows to become a nun. Of course, I had to invent my own ceremony around these vows. There's no official holy sacrament for a teenager who longs to be a writer. But I used my imagination and my passion, and I made it happen. I retreated to my bedroom one night and turned off all the lights. I lit a candle, got down on my honest-to-God knees, and swore my fidelity to writing for the rest of my natural life. I love that she was creating ceremonies for herself at 16. What was I doing when I was 16? Probably smoking too many cigarettes. Where was I when I was 16? Yeah, I was running around crazy at 16. My vows were strangely specific, and I would still argue pretty realistic. I didn't make a promise that I would be a successful writer because I sensed that success was not under my control. You're letting boys woo you. That's awesome. Nor did I promise I would be a great writer because I didn't know if I could be great. Oh. Nor did I give myself any time limits for the work. Like, if I'm not published by the time I'm 30, I'll give up on this dream and find another line of work. In fact, I didn't put any conditions or restrictions on my path at all. My deadline was never, oh, kitty. Instead, I simply vowed, kitty butt, to the universe that I would write forever, regardless of the result. I promised that I would try to be brave about it and grateful and as uncomplaining as it could possibly be. I also promised that I would never ask writing to take care of me financially, but that I would always take care of it, meaning that I would always support us both by any means necessary. That's the total opposite approach a lot of us take with our creativity. Unfortunately, a lot of us approach our creativity with the underlying agenda of how can this make me money, which kills it. So I don't know how in the world she knew that at such a young age, that she needed it. She needed to tell her writing ability that she would never ask of it to feed and clothe and shelter her. And that's incredible. I'm just now in the last couple of years figuring that out myself. First of all, I caught myself doing that and I was like, oh, well, that's horrible. And then the process of training myself out of always thinking about how this or that can provide an income has been long, but worthwhile. Let's see. I didn't ask for any external rewards for my devotion. I just wanted to spend my life as near to writing as possible, forever close to that source of all my curiosity and contentment, and so I was willing to make whatever arrangements needed to be made in order to get by. You haven't found the method that you want to use or that's comfortable? Periscope's a great way to do that. I don't know, and welcome, by the way, Cynthia. Periscope's a great way to just start. Oh, you're shy? Just turn the Periscope on and put a paper bag on your head. You can be that, like that paper bag comic. Do you guys remember that comic that used to used to do his stand-up routines with a paper bag over his head? Yeah. Talk from behind a door. Because as soon as you start, you'll get comfortable with it. And then it's just going to come flying out. So do whatever it takes to get comfortable. Don't turn the camera around. Some people have started by not turning the camera around. Yeah, they put it on their altar or something pleasant to look at and don't turn it around. Yeah. That's one way to start. If you have a message to get out, please do, because chances are there are lots of people who need to hear it. There's a lot of unsolicited advice for you. So learning is the next chapter. The curious thing is I actually kept these vows. I kept them for years. I still keep them. I've broken many promises in my life, including a marriage vow, but I've never broken that promise. I even kept those vows through the chaos of my 20s, a time in my life when I was shamefully irresponsible in every other imaginable way. Yet despite all my immaturity, carelessness, and recklessness, I still honored my vows to writing with the fealty of a holy pilgrim. I wrote every day throughout my 20s. For a while, I had a boyfriend who was a musician, and he practiced every day. He played scales, I wrote small fictional scenes. It was the same idea, to keep your hand in your craft and stay close to it. On bad days when I felt no inspiration at all, I would set the kitchen timer for 30 minutes and make myself sit there and scribble something, anything. That is key. I cannot stress that enough. When you do a daily practice, there's days you don't want to do it. There's days I absolutely don't want to scope. I don't want to come over here. I don't feel like I have anything to say. Ugh. But I know when I turn the camera on, something will come out. And you guys know from daily experience since last summer that some days it's awesome and some days it's, yeah, we're just chit-chatting and reading from a book. And some days really cool stuff comes through. So the point is to show up. When I was committing to journaling every day, sometimes all I could do was open my journal and write, I don't feel like journaling today. This blows. And yeah. Well, sometimes that annoyance comes from the stretching into a greater level of happiness. The more you do your craft, the happier you get. And getting annoyed with it is the discomfort of birthing a new level. Yeah. So, too often we let our irritation with the growth process stop us in our tracks. When really, if you just keep moving through the irritation and the annoyance and the I don't want to fucking do this right now, it's the yeah, like that is the process of stretching into a new level of energy, and it's uncomfortable. I find it really uncomfortable, and I get really pissy and moany and whiny about it sometimes. But if you keep showing up, if all you can do is show up, and my mom said that sometimes you just have, she just sits at the table and shoves beads around. Sometimes things happen, sometimes they don't. The point is just to keep showing up. Just like she said, she set the timer for 30 minutes and she'd just write about how she didn't want to write. She'd just scribble anything. Write down the list of the cereal box, something, just show up. Martha Beck described that process of she has to exercise every day for a physical reason. So some days she would just show up and touch her treadmill. Hi, Carrie. Or drawing. You just pick up a pencil and draw a line on a piece of paper. And if that's all you can do that day, brining, that's a great word. Serious energy in those malas lately. You've been a big baby not wanting to work with the energy. Yeah. Well, it's a stretching process. Just like that transition period of giving birth where you just want to quit and you can't. And it's horrible and sweaty and painful and panicky. I think it's the same. I feel like it's the same. It just feels horrible right before you make a breakthrough. Oh, maybe that card's for you. You're on the verge of a miracle. Or anybody who's at that point of, I don't want to keep doing this creative bullshit. I don't want to keep showing up every day and meditating. That is the point. You can't give up, guys. That's the worst possible point to give up. Oh good. That's the point. When you least want to do it is when you most have to do it. Even if all you can do is sit there and think about how much you don't want to do it. You just show up. You put your butt in the chair. And if you just can sit there for 5 minutes and nothing happens, well, okay. You did at least keep your body in the pattern of showing up. You're welcome. You're totally welcome. I tried to get out of scoping when Tanya and Michelle and I were in Tennessee, and they were like, no! And I was like, I don't want to. I just want to play. It's important, though. There was a couple of days last week when I was not feeling good where I was like, I don't want to. You can't make me. And I was like, nobody's making you. But your life is better for it. You've been hiding. Sometimes we have to go in and grow a little bit. That's okay. It's okay. It's just giving birth. And you have a lot of creativity coming out, Sarah, so it doesn't surprise me. Hi, Nina. That there would be some withdrawal from somewhere. I do, but there's sometimes that, yeah, you're publicly giving birth. Hi, Roseanne, I do love scoping. It's just some days it's hard to get over here and get started. Once I get started, I'm fine. But some days I'm just like, I just want to lay here like a lump and do nothing. Or or I'm in something and I don't want to stop. Or for me, there's energy moving through, and there's some days where that's just really uncomfortable as I'm learning to let more energy come through and more words come out that are not my own, or they're my own but they're not. It's a different energy, and it makes me feel happy, and as I get more happy, then I have to stretch into that. It's pushing that happiness threshold. It's pushing that that boundary of how much energy I can let into my physical body. So there's some days where I just dread the process. Not dread is not the word, but I drag my feet about entering into that space and feeling how it agitates my body. So, and then I move through it, and then I'm an inch ahead of where I used to be. So, yes, always. As soon as I get started, I'm like, okay, yeah, this is why we do this every day. I drag my feet on my morning meditation every day, but then I'm always so glad that I did it. Oh yeah, I wouldn't do it. If I hated this process, I wouldn't keep showing up every day. I'm not into self-torture. Yeah, because I'm breaking through something. So the time you least want to do it, your daily meditation or your yoga practice or your mala making or cooking, whatever your daily practice is, the days that you least want to do it are a warning bell that you better get over there and do it if you want to continue your forward growth. The discomfort is part of the growth. It's part of it. It's not a sign to stop. It's a sign to keep going and just do the best you can. Some days my meditations are total shit. I just sit there and I blah, blah, blah. I say the mantra. I'm so not into it. But just that, because it's cumulative. Your little few minutes every day, if that's all you can do, is cumulative. The power builds over time. It's not like taking a pill. It's adding a brick to your foundation every day. So if you start skipping days, you don't fill in your bricks and your foundation crumbles, and then the rest of your life crumbles. A daily practice is a brick, a brick, a brick, a brick, and sooner or later you have a building. One brick at a time. 1 5-minute meditation or breathing practice at a time. 1 sun salutation, one whatever you can do every single day is the key. It's not what you do. It's that you show up every day and you do it for 5 minutes. 5 minutes over time becomes 10 because you'll flip. There's a flipping point where not doing it feels worse than sitting down to do it, if that makes sense. But to get to that transition point, you have to show up every day. So let me talk about this for a second because it's in that book and I can't talk about it. It's in that book I'm reading that I really love. To overcome abandonment issues, the opposite of abandonment is commitment. So to overcome abandonment, you have to find a way to commit to yourself. So if you've been abandoned your whole life, you have abandonment issues, it makes perfect sense to me. You make a commitment to yourself to do something good for yourself every day. And when you break those commitments, you reinforce the abandonment thing. In the process of doing the commitments, you bring up that pain of when you didn't commit or when other people didn't commit to you. I hope this is making sense because I don't have it entirely sorted out into words to teach with. Making the commitment to show up every day heals the times in your life when nobody showed up for you. It heals the times in your life where you made commitments to yourself and you broke them. and then reinforce that sense of abandonment. So Byron Katie talks about that all the time, right? When we're struggling with abandonment, it's because we've abandoned ourselves. So making a commitment is to a 5-minute a day practice is so much more than just showing up for 5 minutes. So you're increasing your spiritual connection, you're increasing you're building a strong foundation of, showing up for your creativity, showing up for your life every single day, even when you don't want to. And over time, you prove to yourself that you are worth committing to. When you make a commitment to do 5 minutes a day and you don't, the message you send to yourself is you're not even worth 5 minutes of my time. Like, you're not even worth that much to me to show up for 5 minutes a day. 5 minutes. That's the message that the kid part of you, the animal part of you gets. Like, if you say you're going to show up for 5 minutes, then show up for 5 minutes every single day, even when you don't want to, especially when you don't want to. So that you prove to yourself that you're worth the time. You're worth the commitment. You show it to yourself by putting your ass in the chair for 5 minutes every day. That's pretty powerful stuff. And it explains to me why my commitment to a daily practice last July has entirely changed my life. Yeah. We were talking about how important it is to commit to a daily practice of some kind of daily meditation, or daily doing whatever your creative endeavors are, daily drawing, daily painting, daily something. The importance is committing to yourself to show up every single day. It doesn't really matter what you do. The benefit is coming from the commitment you're making to yourself and then sticking to it. Yeah, and hello. Okay, so let's talk about learning. I'm off on my tangent. Okay, so she kept the vows even through the chaos. Elizabeth Gilbert's what we're reading if you just joined us. I read an interview with John Updike where he said that some of the best novels you've ever read were written in an hour a day. I figured I could always carve out at least 30 minutes somewhere to dedicate myself to my work no matter what else was going on or how badly I believed the work was going. Generally speaking, the work did go badly. I really didn't know what I was doing. I felt sometimes like I was trying to carve scrimshaw while wearing oven mitts. Everything took forever. I had no chops, no game. It could take me a whole year just to finish one tiny short story. Most of the time, all I was doing was imitating my favorite authors anyhow. I went through a Hemingway stage, but I also went through a pretty serious I think it's Proulx, Proulx stage. An excellent writer if you haven't read any of her books. She's incredible. And a rather embarrassing Cormac McCarthy stage. But that's what happens but that's what you have to do at the beginning. Everybody imitates before they can innovate. Artists, when they're drawing, tend to, fall into using other people's styles. But then in that daily practice, we move through that and we find our own style. When you start speaking, you may speak in someone else's voice and using someone else's words. But over time, your own voice starts to come out and it gets stronger from that daily commitment. For a while, I tried to write like a Southern Gothic novelist because I found that to be a far more exotic voice than my own New England sensibility. I was not an especially convincing Southern writer, of course, but that's only because I'd never lived a day in the South. A friend of mine who actually was from the South said to me in exasperation after reading one of my stories, "You've got all these old men sitting around the porch eating peanuts, and you ain't never sat around a porch eating peanuts in your life. You got some nerve, girl." Oh well, we try. None of it was easy, but that wasn't the point. I had never asked writing to be easy. I had only asked writing to be interesting, and it was always interesting to me. Even when I couldn't do it right, it was still interesting. Nothing has ever interested me more. That profound sense of interest kept me working even as I had no tangible successes, and slowly I improved. It's a simple and generous rule of life that whatever you practice, you will improve at. For instance, if I had spent my 20s playing basketball every single day, or making pastry dough every single day, or studying auto mechanics, I'd probably be pretty good at foul shots, croissants, and transmissions by now. Instead, I learned how to write. Here's a caveat. But this does not mean that unless you begin your creative endeavors in your 20s, it's too late. God, no, please don't get that idea. It's never too late. I just read, there was something going around on Facebook about a man in his 90s that just ran a marathon or something incredible. And I read an article about somebody in their mid-90s that had done a century ride. A century ride is 100 miles. In his mid-90s. There was a woman I read an article about in her, I want to say in her late 80s, that ran a marathon and didn't even start training till she was like 80. So it's never, ever, ever too late. I could give you dozens of examples of amazing people who didn't start following their creative paths until later in life. But for the sake of economy, I'll only tell you about one of them. Her name was Winifred. I knew Winifred back in the 90s in Greenwich Village. I first met her at her 90th birthday party, which was quite a wild bash. She was a friend of mine, a guy who was in his 20s. Winifred had friends of all ages and backgrounds. She was a bit of a luminary around Washington Square back in the day. She was a full-on bohemian legend who had lived in the village forever. She had long red hair that she wore. God, that's great. What a great example for you. I love that. She had long red hair that she wore piled glamorously on top of her head. She was always draped in robes of amber beads. She and her late husband, a scientist, had spent their vacations chasing typhoons and hurricanes all over the world just for fun. She kind of was a hurricane herself. Winifred was the most vividly alive woman I had ever met in my young life. So one day, looking for inspiration, I asked her, "What's the best book you've ever read?" She said, "Oh, darling, I could never narrow it down to just one book, because so many books are important to me. But I can tell you my favorite subject. 10 years ago, I began studying the history of ancient Mesopotamia, and it became my passion, and let me tell you, it has totally changed my life. For me, at the age of 25, to hear a 90-year-old widow speak of having her life changed by passion was a revelation. It was one of those moments where I could feel my perspective expanding, as if my mind were being ratcheted open several notches and was now welcoming in all sorts of new possibilities for what a woman's life could look like. But as I learned more about Winifred's passion, what struck me most was that she was now an acknowledged expert in the history of ancient Mesopotamia. She had given that field of study an entire decade of her life, after all, and if you devote yourself to anything diligently for 10 years, that will make you an expert. That's the time it would take to earn 2 master's degrees and a doctorate. She'd gone to the Middle East. She was friendly with the greatest scholars. So people now sought her out because she had become an authority by doing something, I'm guessing, every day, if it was a passion of hers. I was a young woman who had only recently finished college. There was some dull and limited part of my imagination that believed my education was over because NYU had granted me a diploma. Meeting Winifred made me realize your education isn't over when they say it's over when you say it's over. And I say it's never, ever over if you want to remain vital and alive and interesting. You're going to be learning something your whole life. Winifred, back when she was a mere girl of 80, had firmly decided it ain't over yet. So when can you start pursuing your most creative and passionate life? You can start whenever you decide to start. And that could be today. You could go sign up for a class today. You could get on YouTube. Yes, you've got to keep learning. And now, with the internet available to us, YouTube. Oh my God. Go ahead. You can go on YouTube and you can find something to learn. Come on. You can go just start entering keywords in YouTube and find a video and learn something today. I got a cat being a pest. You lack motivation and deal with depression. So I would say create more. When you have the least motivation, create more. Just make yourself put whatever your medium is. What's your medium? What do you use? Come on. Come on. What do you use to make your art? We talk a lot here about loving the parts of ourselves that don't want to. And by doing that, we free up energy. Mandalas. Loving the part of yourself that doesn't have any motivation. Just welcoming it. And this is just, I don't know you or anything, but for me, when I'm struggling with depression, the more I say, I love the part of me that's depressed. My depression is strong when I'm blocking a creation. Yeah. So that's Lenora. She's at the Blue Bobcat, and she makes malas. And when there's something really big coming in, and there's a part of us that's wanting it, and a part of us that's not, we can get shut down, too. So you can say, it's a simplistic little trick of writing, preferably writing with your hand and a pen or whatever. I love the part of myself that doesn't want to create. I love the part of myself that wants to birth new creations, and I love the part of myself that doesn't. And yeah, the more you block, the worse you get. This is Tonka. For me, when I'm stuck in depression, yes, even if it's just a tiny little thing, I love the part of myself that is blocking this new growth. Because the more you fight it, and you probably already know this, the more you fight and try to make yourself not be depressed, the more depressed you get. So reversing direction can help a lot. The part that is scared, my creation is no good. I love the part that is scared that my creation is no good. I love the part of me that's afraid I'm just creating crap. And you just create it anyway. Whoa. What we resist persists. For me, the depression doesn't shift until I've fully accepted it, welcomed it, and embraced it. So you can practice that. I love the part of myself that doesn't want to start. Really love the part of myself that's trying to protect me by not even starting. It's something to try. For me, it's been really helpful shifting things. You felt not as good. Yeah, love to you. Glad you came. And I pulled this card, if you weren't here earlier, for the group this morning. You're on the verge of a miracle. Sometimes being on the verge of a miracle can look like not wanting to start. Can look like depression. I think more than half of the people on here do struggle with depression, chronic depression. So we try and help keep each other motivated. So hopefully that helps. Give it a shot. It's been really helpful for several of us to love the parts of ourselves that we don't want to. He is being tortured. I am ruining his day. Group hug. Taga is not happy. He's being mollified. He wants to go outside, but Ginger's outside, so he can't go out there. They have to go out separately. 4 have to stay in while 1 goes out. Thank you. He's the spoiled one. He's the favorite. No, he actually is happy, Catherine. I'm kidding. You'll be living with... Ow! See, he just bit me. He's huge. Kitties are good. Look how big he is. He's absolutely massive. Ella J. Georgia. Look at this, got his little, he's missing a canine tooth. Texas. Oh, there's several people from Texas that hang out here. Put your lip up. See, he's frustrated. He's letting me pet him, but he's frustrated. He wants to go outside and I won't let him. I'm from Texas originally, so lots of people here are from Texas. Ow, guy. Ow. He weighs 14 pounds now. This guy. Ouch. Ow, buddy. Okay, ow. That hurts. Fort Worth. Look at those teeth. Yeah, he's pretty big. He's pretty frustrated too, so I'm probably going to put him down. Oh, super cool. Ow. Okay, you're getting down. Yeah. Oh, cool. Okay. Well, give that a shot. Oof, now I've got cat hair all over my face. I think that's, did I finish that chapter? Yes, I did. So we'll talk about this again day after tomorrow. Ugh, cat hair. It's Big Magic, Elizabeth Gilbert. I do too. We love this book. We talk about it every other day. Tomorrow we'll talk about the Doubted Jean and Byron Katie's work. And then we'll be back to, we flip-flop every other day. So I'm going to go, wow, he got me. Ow, rotten cat. And have a wonderful day. And remember, you're on the verge of a miracle, and let yourself have that. Give yourself permission to feel how you feel. You're welcome. You're welcome. Have a wonderful day. I love you guys very much. Yes, Artist Path, come back and join us tomorrow. Yeah, you too. Have a great day. We love it when people come and hang out with us. We talk about creativity a lot. Thank you. See you tomorrow.